Welcome, Collective. This is Regina from Pacific Tarot getting ready to do a general collective reading for you. This is timeless, intended to support you whenever you find it. I have just finished readings that cross over into the month of November, so this feels relevant to harvest season, the celebration of the end of harvest season. For some, it is the celebration of summer's end and the beginning of a new year. It is, regardless of the cultural celebration or the ritual practice, this is a thinning of the veil. The shadows are calling us. Our unconscious energies are calling to us, particularly as a collective. And this we see in the turning of the seasons, collective climate or weather patterns that we're experiencing in the light turning away from us. And as we celebrate the harvest season, the bounty of our efforts, we look forward to the turning away of the light, the retreat into our subconscious energies, our ability to go deep and evaluate the experience we've had of success, of bounty, of abundance as we look forward to the turning of the light. And I pull the Talisman Oracle, which is a confirmation of Halloween, Thanksgiving, the sort of shutting down of one phase of life or experience and an opening up to a new one. So this is, comes to mind Persephone and her mother Ceres, their relationship of longing for one another even after her abduction. So the way that she was granted Ceres was granted an opportunity to see her daughter in the springtime, and then in the fall, she went back down into the underworld for the majority of the year. It was 8 months originally. So this is the bulk of the time in order to produce, to fertilize the soil, to regenerate the nutrients, to grow the food. Takes most of the year, and then we have a spectacular spring and summer process of growing and harvesting the bounty that will sustain us. So there is something strongly about here, a new you being born, a new version of yourself, a new experience of the world that you're having that you've never had before. This is your ability to look at your past, a past that you've surrendered and let go of, and recognize the tremendous growth that you've experienced, the multiple lessons that keep unfolding for you from those experiences. I've pulled a few from the African Oracle, and I will clarify with the Ethereal, the Shadow Work deck. And so in the present, we have the Devil card. This feels like you're releasing a negative habit. In fact, I feel like this habit is a view of the world that it is struggle, it is challenge, it is difficult, it is hard. This is the view that I believe you are unlearning. You are relinquishing, you're surrendering to an understanding that this is the way your community, your society, your cultural container has trained you to believe that the world is harsh, cold, rules must conform to survive. And that you don't have any choice in the matter. There are no choices here. This is what you're required to do without any agency. And so this, I may be overstating the severity of the traditional norms, regulations, and rules, expectations, but I think not. I think many of us have experienced what tradition-bound rules had, the impact they've had on our lives, our abilities to develop in a way that supports our value and who we are. In the past, the Nine of Swords. Yeah, this feels very, very heavy. And for those of you that I'm speaking to, that is how at least the last decade of your life has felt. It can have extended far beyond uh, uh, the into a couple of decades, depending on some astrological markers in your chart. Um, but this has been a cultural time of hardship, austerity in some way. So I'm even marking the beginning of economic crises uh, in the early 2000s as a time culturally where we began to experience the austerity collapses of many traditional institutions we rely on, and the kinds of hardships that we began to experience on a global level, ways in which we began to understand how connected we all are and how uh, in control are so few individuals. But what this engenders has been this extreme, almost crucible of disappointment, loss, hardship, scarcity for many of you. And that has not, believe it or not, been the worst in your life. Because by the time you experienced this, you were grown, you were an adult, and you could make some choices about how you survived this, and you did survive it. But as you survived this suffering, this pain, feeling as though it was inflicted for many of you, principally by loved ones in some way or another, it can have been a disappointing relationship, a crisis in the family, some kind of family loss. Any or all of these things could have generated circumstances that you really had to scramble to meet wholeheartedly. And yet you understand that this is part of what has created this sense that failure, that institutions, social practices have failed you because they weren't safe containers for the experiences you had. Perhaps if you had experienced a loss, a traditional church or cultural circle did not serve you in the way that you would have hoped that it would. Perhaps there was little but responsibilities incurred through the loss of someone or something. There can have been a lot of physical loss that you've endured. In the future, the Seven of Pentacles. So this is interesting because underneath the deck, I have the Six of Pentacles. The Six of Pentacles is suggesting that you are working things out. You are improving your ability to negotiate your desires, come to agreements with others clearly, explicitly, in a way that goes against the way that perhaps you were trained to receive communication or connection with others. This is showing me that you look for value, respect, equity, fairness in all of your agreements, all of your negotiations, and in all of your relationships. That you understand that your value is not something that is taken for granted by others, but that you may need to assert your value at the top of a discussion about energy exchanges. And that you understand that anything can be negotiated, particularly a healthy, thriving relationship, must be renegotiated, must be reevaluated and reassessed to make sure that you're investing in that relationship properly, that you're putting back some of the fruits of your efforts into better ways to create or produce the results that you have. To see if what this new experience of relating to others as a self-empowered individual, as a gifted, deserving individual is working in a way that is new to you. You're on new turf for you. It isn't that positive, equitable relationships have never existed, but it looks to me, for many of you, they haven't existed much. And you're understanding in many ways, what is the kicker is that this is something you have chosen over and over again. You have chosen relationships that have fit in a model that was damaging to you. And then you've spent time rebelling against the authority that you chose, that you allowed to dictate the terms of your relationship, your effort, your community, whatever it is that felt stifling, boxed in, caged in. Really encouraged to stay in the lane, your lane, the lane others determined for you. So this represents a really, really big series of revelations that you're experiencing, ways that you're looking at what success means to you. I'm going to clarify the devil in the present. And I pull the Queen of Swords and the Six of Cups. Interesting. So there is a significant soul bond, relationship. Perhaps it's an effort or an opportunity that you've experienced in the past that has come back around. And I see that this is a relationship that meant something similar, something profound to both of you. So I'm going to talk about it as a relationship at this moment, but I haven't discounted the fact that it may not be a relationship per se. It may be an opportunity, but you are understanding that you need to learn, understand the relationship better. That you've changed since this relationship was initiated. This feels like something from your long ago past. I would certainly say your youth if you're older. And it is one in which you created beautiful memories, joyful memories, positive emotional pleasure together, a real soul connection. Somebody who was just as familiar to you as you were to them. And there's a good chance that that connection still lives. However, because of the passage of time and how much you've changed, you are hoping that they've changed too, because there's a reason why it didn't work out in the past. And I think their appearance in your life, their connection to you, which has begun on the level of your wide-ranging interests. Whatever it is, this was a relationship where you talked, you read, you researched, you looked, you were social a lot together. You have a very powerful repartee with this person. Great conversationalist, likes to be social, likes to ask about other people's opinions, is an opinion maker. I think that this is a relationship that you know, certainly, and it looks like this is a shared revelation or perception that you need to get to know each other again. That there are a lot of things about the past that are mired in perhaps bad habits, bad attitudes, a very traditional set of expectations that didn't work out, but that somehow you recognize that there is a way that you must establish the value of a potential relationship now. And the only way you know how to do that is through conversation. This feels like the idea of equity is important to both of you. Fairness. Is it even appropriate for you to be connecting again? Is this a relationship that ended naturally, even if it was extremely painful and hurtful? You've made your peace with that, is the feeling I'm getting from here. But that peace fit into a longer, tragic story of romantic failure. I do believe that. In fact, this may have been a first or initial kind of heartbreak, unique to, I'm not sure what, but this feels as though it started something that hounded you for a long time. A way perhaps that you relinquished your own desires and gave in to whatever was expected of you until it wasn't anymore. But I do have the feeling that you're someone that this person always felt comfortable to talk with. Not always, I can't say that, but has often maintained a very strong sense of friendship, partnership, a willing ability to communicate. I'm sure you flirted. This person has flirted with you over the years. I'm going to clarify the 9 of Swords in the past. And I have the Page of Cups and the Judgment card. I'm just going to take the Judgment on the top. And this is really spelling out more about your approach. And what is so fascinating to me is your ability always to stay open, to stay kind, to stay friendly, to not project a sense of judgment or disappointment on the individual, to let it go. And part of that is the protection that you have gained because of your untrusting attitude at base. I think for many of you have had difficulty letting someone in, letting anyone in, frankly, because of your openness, because of your history of vulnerability. And in many ways, that makes this all the more striking because of your experience of seeing something that you feel is correct for you, but it isn't met with agreement. There is no commitment. There's no agreement that this was a relationship that was worthy of being worked on for any number of reasons. It's quite likely that the person that this relationship began was significantly younger than you, big difference in age of some sort. And so it was easy to excuse a lot of their behavior because of their immaturity, but that didn't make it any easier. You still believed in the bond, that there was a purpose for your connection, one that would take a lifetime of work, or certainly a sincere effort to work upon and grow that contribution. It feels as though this relationship initially appeared very purposeful to you. In the future, the 7 of Pentacles is clarified by, let's get these. So there's the 9 of Pentacles and the 6 of Pentacles, a repeat. I like this because it shows me a lot of pentacles here. It shows me that you want to do 2 things at once. You want to maintain a respectful, loving exchange, perhaps with this person, and you want to maintain your independence and autonomy. You don't want to sacrifice who you are and what you've built uh, due to the lack of understanding or commitment from others, no matter how strong the bond was that you shared. You're not sure how that possibly is translated by this partner of yours. How have they grown? How do they understand ways in which you made poor choices in the past and how that would be done differently? So this feels like an ongoing friendship, um, one that you feel perfectly comfortable to allow to establish itself or not, or to evaluate, to sit back, to make no moves, to allow this to unfold through conversation, through connection, through advisement, through an understanding of how you are authentic with yourself now in a way that has hopefully translated into your ability to attract authentic people to you. And one would hope that that was one of the reasons that this connection is reappearing in your life, because in some way you're ready for it, or you're ready to move beyond the illusion of this as an important relationship. But whatever the reason, you are having an opportunity here globally. I believe this is for all of us, of looking at some critical aspect of your past. In this case, perhaps it is a relationship experience, and seeing it from new eyes. Because I doubt that this is the first time you have thought about this significant connection, failures or disappointments from the past, the authenticity of those connections, even if they did not work out. But how, again, this was intentional. These challenges and obstacles helped you to understand who you are and what your contribution is. And as others see that, that doesn't mean that you have to give up everything, sacrifice everything, and uh, uh, allow that to now steer the course of your life. The contrary is true. It's affirming what you knew a while ago and how and why you or the other person were unable to commit to this in a way that would have produced something that you could both be proud of, something that could be your contribution to the improvement of the world in some way. I'm going to finish this reading with a crystal oracle and the red tourmaline flipped over, and I'm going to read this. The key word is passion. I am the embodiment of passion. Interesting. Wow. Feels like a new version of yourself, considering a new experience of significant relationship and the power you have for creation. Thank you so much for this beautiful reading. If you enjoyed this content, check out more content there. Thank you for your likes and subscribes. Until next time, namaste.